Hey there guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion number 351, Beacon Redesign and Simplified Fluid Mixing, and I'm joined by Bombug as always.
Hello, hello. How you doing today, X?
Doing okay, kind of sleepy and stuff, allergies acting up, but otherwise real good, real excited to be doing this Friday Facts. How about you?
Yeah, doing good. It's getting closer and closer to 1.0. So every time they're coming in here with a new Friday Facts, I'm just wondering what they're gonna bring us.
Yes, yeah,
It's
me
usually
too.
graphical redesigns and stuff, but there's something cool at the back end of this one, huh?
Yeah,
Simplified fluid mix.
some really cool stuff, and as of Sunday, I believe, 1.0 will be exactly 2 months away. Sunday is the
Oh my
14th, I
gosh,
believe,
it's
so
happening.
that's super cool. What's equally as cool is a beacon redesign. So if we recall, back in Facts 339, Albert presented the updated and redesigned beacon. After your response, we realized some issues we hadn't seen with the beacon before, and we have taken some time to think about it. So this is the one they had presented in Facts 339. A lot of people, most people did not like it. Um, we voiced our opinions there, and then it kind of goes on to say the red tower design by itself is very impressive, which gave it so many plus points, but we didn't focus enough on the fact that it's taking too much visual attention. In this case, this happens because of the aggressive red colors, the big contrasty yellow eye-like circle, the entity being quite tall, and the electric beam animation. Random variations are usually helpful to make entities look nicer in clumps like resources, but not in this case, especially as other built entities don't have any variations. The options to take from here would be to either update the original design, adjust the red tower, or start a new design. So then we're shown here what beacons currently in like 017 and beforehand, basically as far back as I can remember, look like. And yeah, it's a very special entity. Either it doesn't appear in a factory at all, or very little, or it's everywhere. There's no like really middle ground. It's either not there, or you have like just a couple, or it's like your factory's just full of them, just by the nature of how it works and what it does. So it doesn't really do anything by itself, so it doesn't really need to show much activity either. The original design has its own problems and also saturates the screen very quickly as they are bright, also tall, and they always move, attracting the attention of movement constantly. As for the red tower, most of the top part would have to be removed, which is almost a complete redesign already, but parts of the whole could be recycled for a new version. We chose to start a new redesign with the design goal of the beacon trying to take much less attention. So, I mean, I don't know, I would say this is a good approach.
Yeah, I think it's important to still focus on keeping the attention on the actual factories and not just the boosters, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. So we move down to the beacon redesign. For everything, we generally respect the idea of height in the sense that the higher something is, the brighter it usually looks. The less important background is usually darker, while the foreground entities is usually brighter, especially at their top parts. The red tower was put in a hole mostly to be able to create a tall tower in a 3x3 bounding box, yet not overlap the tiles above the entity too much. What could be done instead is to put the whole beacon in a hole entirely and therefore make it generally darker and less noticeable. This way we would change this idea from a tower to an underground electronic powerful entity and try to explain the effect as being transmitted underground by cables. So this is what we're presented with. Pretty interesting. It's kind of like the bottom of the red towery one, but a lot more obviously details on the actual bottom part with the hole and wires going in, you can see there. Uh,
Yeah, before it was just kind of empty at the base. I did think it was interesting how like they had a tower and they wanted to add like some depth and size to it, so they put a hole beneath it, but then they didn't put the tower really in the hole,
right.
right? Yeah, so this time you've got actual work going on in there.
Yeah, so this I like this because, I saw some people complaining or voicing their opinions rather on the forums about like they think there's too many wires and like tubes and hoses going through it, but I actually love this because it fits very well with the Factorio theme of, the engineer just is trying to work with the few materials he has and throw stuff together kind of haphazardly that, could like break any time. and this is what this looks like. It's a mess, and that's what it's supposed to look like. I think that actually fits really well with the general style of the game.
Yeah, I think there's just this issue with a lot of the Factorio gamers tend to be tech nerds themselves. They'll often build
Mm,
their own PCs, you know, and when you're a tech nerd and you're building your own PC, you kind of want extreme cable management to the point where your
yes.
cables are wireless, right?
Yes,
So,
basically, that's a good point.
you know,
Um, that's actually an excellent point. Yeah. So this looks really good. It does. I was seeing some people say, this looks a little bit uh, inappropriate, if you will, like maybe like a sphincter or something. But you know what? They make it better. Okay, there's more to it. So, do notice that a lot of the meshes in the model are coming from Albert's redesign, which was really helpful to get the new design done in a reasonable time. The beacon is generally less saturated than any of the previous designs, which again makes it less intense and makes it fit better in its typical habitat of concrete tiles, so it looks just fine on more natural terrain as well. While the submerged design works well in terms of making the beacon take very little attention away from the producer entities, which, as you said, makes sense, there are multiple issues. Most importantly, it doesn't look like a beacon on the first sight. As a side effect, the beacon starts looking very top-down without combating our perspective, though that would probably be possible to address by changing the design significantly. And we're presented with this. And basically then a tower is claws its way back into the concept to explain how the effect is transmitted. Just a slim and lightweight tower, though, without taking too much attention. The two black squares are actually module slots, and the beacon now dynamically visualizes the modules inside. These little squares up here he's talking about. This is conceptually questionable, as we definitely don't want to start a precedent of adding visible module slots to every single entity, but the beacon has no other use than the modules, so we think it's an acceptable exception. And we can see here, it actually shows the modules in here, which is fantastic.
very cool, very innovative.
Yeah, I think this is super, super cool that they do this. It just kind of adds an extra thing to it. And the fact that beacons, like, their main purpose, their only purpose is to display the effect of modules. I think to transmit the effect of modules, I think it's appropriate that they are showing the modules here, even though they don't really do that on any other entity. So I think it is fitting for this. And then the tower helps a lot too with making it not look like just a weird hole in the ground. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think this was kind of a stroke of genius.
mhm.
They want to show the effect of the beacon, and having your actual module there is a pretty decent way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So as I say, it does take a bit more attention back again, but also remove some. With modules always visible, we could remove alt mode from the beacon. This means whenever you toggle alt mode on, you're only seeing the overlay change on the producer entity. So we have one of these awesome little sliders we like of how it is in 0.17 and previously, and then how it looks with the redesign and the modules in it and stuff. It's they're definitely like a lot less bulky and like less of an intrusion than the old beacons. And I think this fits pretty well. It's gonna take some getting used to, I think.
Yeah. Hmm. I still don't super love the look of it,
Yeah.
but I didn't necessarily love the look of the old beacons either.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do like them having the modules on there like that. So I'd say this is still like a definite improvement for me,
Mm-hmm.
from the original as well as from the redesign.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think I would say so, but I agree. I'm not like, it's not like the like miner drill or the mining drill or something where it's like, oh wow, that's awesome, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan. It's certainly better than the other redesign they presented to us. I think it's a big improvement from that. And it's not like it's gonna like off put me from playing the game. It's just not my favorite. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of awkward when you need to stick like 8 of these around a single entity. Things are gonna start looking like uh, spotty, I guess. I mean, like, I'm
mm-hmm.
just kind of seeing like, okay, this is like a couple things doing actual work surrounded by a whole bunch of dots. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was the same with the old beacons, except it was a bunch of huge blocky buildings, and this is just like circles in the ground now.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not super great, but um, so see how much breathing room the assembling machines have in the screenshot above. The alt mode overlay isn't really useful most of the time on beacons. We can afford to remove the visual clutter. It can, of course, be re-enabled by mods. We see another example here of what the modules might look like. And beacons do not take productivity modules, hence them not showing it. So the module slots are procedurally tinted, so if a mod adds custom modules, it only needs to specify the tints at the definition of the module item without touching the beacon at all, which is super great, really modder friendly. And then we come down and we see it kind of actually working. We see a little pulse coming up the tower here, which is pretty neat. And it's worth mentioning that one of the reasons why the beacon got away without high-res sprites for a long time is because it's a late-game entity for generally large factories, so the player mostly looks at them zoomed out. True.
Very, very true.
As you can see in the above animation, the tower has a subtle glow animation that explains the effect transmission when zoomed in, while almost invisible when zoomed out, trying to balance between being interesting close in and non-disruptive far out. The glow effect is also tinted by the color defined by the module lights. In fact, it averages the color of two different models in the beacon, which isn't very useful for the base game, but some mods, it could be a nice detail. So that's really cool as well. That's kind of a bluish tint on the thing, so I imagine if you put like efficiency models in here, maybe be a little more greenish, or if you have a mod that adds like bright red ones, it may correspond with that. And then of course, you can see here, as usual, we plan to release a new beacon next week, and they show like the icon for it. I'm not a fan of that icon, but
yeah,
it looks like
I think maybe it'll grow on us a little bit. We'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, I don't know. I think it's like we said, it's better than the original redesign. I don't think it's like perfect, but it does, at least I would say it looks a little more modern and polished than the 017 and before one, which is kind of what they're going for in 1.0.
Oh yeah. And honestly, like if you're looking at the old beacons, you get beacons like not exactly end game, but like you start utilizing beacons end game, and you would kind of expect them to look a little bit nice because your engineer has been building a lot of cool stuff this whole time. He's he's launching rockets. He can make a pretty good looking building, but instead they were kind of big old rust buckets.
Yeah.
And like this feels definitely a lot more high tech. And I think they just have a really hard challenge of having to make a design that looks good when you've got just dozens of them all around, a small handful of other buildings that are doing the actual work. And I don't really see these beacons having an effect on the buildings that they're boosting. They are, they're sending out a cool power signal, but once again, in other games, I would expect like maybe the building to be glowing more, or for there to be some sort of visual connection between the beacon and what it's buffing. And we just don't have that here, and I don't know if we can get that. But they're doing pretty good with what they've got,
Yeah.
Definite improvement on what they had before.
Yeah, it's yeah, like you said, I'd really like to see some sort of like pipes or wires going like to the machines, or at least near the machines, or something. But like you said, that just may not be possible with the stuff they have to work with without it just being a complete mess. But yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. It doesn't really look like it's affecting the machines, but that just may be the best we have right now.
Yeah, and going overboard with like actual graphic effects is just not really something Factorio needs. It would be really cool if it sent out like a nice blue pulse that then shined and boosted the other buildings or something, but that doesn't quite fit in Factorio. And we're going to be having, thousands and thousands of factories, thousands and thousands of buildings in your factories going. You don't need more mess and more graphical calculations for it to do,
Yeah, exactly. And heck, for all you know, maybe they'll change it in a DLC or something. I don't know. But for
There
now,
will
this is
be
really good.
mods, right?
Yeah, and mods, like, of course, mods. More to work with here. So I like it. It's like I said, better than the first redesign. I'm happy enough with it to not like be really complaining too much. So good job on them. I'm glad they took feedback about the previous one, and put in the time and effort to redo it based on what people said. And that's just
Mhm.
testament to that they do listen to the community. So really,
Absolutely.
really great. Uh, Last part, which is great, is Fluid Mixing Prevention Take 9001 by
Uh,
RCA.
it's over 9,000.
It's over 9,000, man. It really is. So basically, the original concept of fluid mixing prevention sounded great. Mixing fluids is virtually never desired, so let's stop it from happening. That's simple. This is the part where the movie stops and the narrator says, but it wasn't simple. It wasn't even close to simple. No. To keep things short, I'll just say complexity compounded with more complexity, an entire game built without the concept of fluids can't mix. And then over a year and a half later, there are still parts that can't be handled gracefully. When the concept was first talked about, it seemed off. Mixing fluid is not desired, and the solution is to full stop prevent it. But let's take that same solution and try to apply it to something else. Belts. Mixing belt contents is mostly usually not desired. People have gone full crazy and made setups around it, but that's another story. What if the game tried to stop you from mixing belt contents? Sounds crazy to me. I would agree. That makes no sense to me if that were a thing. Um, but it happens. Belts get mixed and it's not as big of a problem as fluids getting mixed. Why is that? Because there's a quick way, an easy way to fix a problem. You just basically hoover it up, vacuum it up, and the belt and the items from the belt, and it's fixed. There's no quick and easy way to fix mixed fluids. You have to pull up the entire length of the pipe to get it all out. Even if you don't mix fluids, but just get the wrong one in a pipe, it's still a huge pain to fix. And sometimes, at least in my experience previously, you even had to tear up some buildings because it would like get one of the inputs full of the wrong fluid or something, and then like wouldn't take the correct fluid. It was just a complete mess. Um,
You have to hunt it down, like really,
yeah,
like look carefully to find out where it all.
I mean, yeah. In a lot of cases, you're better off literally just tearing up the entire thing and starting from ground zero. um, so yeah, the idea isn't new. It was talked about back when fluid mixing prevention started, but it was recently brought up again, and we decided to give it a try. Simple fluid mixing prevention. Just try to handle the most common case, manually building things, and in more complex cases where mixing might happen, provide a quick and easy way to fix it, a button to flush all the given fluid from the pipes. As we can see here on this GIF, I'll watch from the beginning here. We have an empty pipe, and now they connect it with some petroleum, which, you don't want water and petroleum, so you just disconnect the petro, click on the pipe, and you can flush petroleum gas from the entire system. Boom, done. And the new simplified system will be ready for release next week, so you can give it a try and let us know what you think. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm imagining they still hit a whole bunch of bugs with this, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot probably a lot easier bugs to deal with than to do a full fluid redesign. And I mean, you've been talking about it in our past Friday Facts and on stream that you already think that it's almost not acceptable for them to release without a fluid rework, right? Like
Yeah, and I mean, this
you would
isn't a
prefer that
fluid.
for
This is
1.0.
not. I mean, this is still not what I even would want. But
Yeah.
like, my issue is with the way fluids in general work. The mixing was a problem, but this is a good fix, I think, for the mixing. Um, and
Yeah, it just shows that they're still thinking about it and they're still getting things in while they can without needing to do a full rework. They're like, okay, what we have we don't quite like and players don't quite like, but let's give them some quality of life until we can actually put the full time investment in there.
right, exactly. Um, and like you said, there's probably some bugs with this. Like people on the forums are questioning, like, well, what if you have a tank full of petroleum on the other end of this pipe? Are you going to be sucking your entire tank of petroleum up when you do this, or stuff like that? So I think I saw one of the devs say that it shouldn't affect tanks. So you can click on a tank and like flush the tank only, or something. I mean, we'll see when it's released, but you know, if they haven't figured out the issues with it, obviously they'll figure that out in quick releases afterwards. They're always quick with fixing that type of thing. Um, I'm personally thrilled with this because I hate when fluids mix. It's a huge pain, like you said, and this, for most cases, I would say is a very quick and easy way for players to fix a mistake.
Yeah, it's good work. And I think it was also just kind of a real good thought process that they had to compare it with belts.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Because I hadn't personally made that connection, but then when he talked about it, it's like, yeah, we wouldn't do that with belts. Why would we have to do it here?
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
exactly. Mm. So I think that's it. This is really good. Beacon, glad they took another swing at that. Not perfect, but certainly much better than it was. And the fluid mixing prevention, you know, kind of just being able to clear it all out of the pipes is super good. And yeah, I'm happy with this. Always doing good things in these Friday Facts. And I really look forward to what they give us next week. But do you have any other thoughts?
I just think this one was a pretty innovative Friday Facts. It was a redesign of the beacon after a redesign, but they totally spun it and made it something new by putting the modules on the building itself. We just,
Yes.
you know, it's something that we see in what, like the oil refineries, where it like changes the color of the smoke coming out and things like that. And I had just never thought, oh, we can do that with beacons too. And I think that's a really cool little innovation they had there, along with a whole new way to handle pipes being full of things you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
It just shows like this team is a really smart team. They're doing some interesting things, and God, I appreciate them for that.
Yes. Same here. Really, really doing some innovative, great things here. Good ideas. So fantastic. Good job, guys. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed. Leave your thoughts below. Always enjoy reading those. And, of course, on the forums and Reddit for the devs with some good feedback. And until next time, we will see you later.
Catch you later.